Namaste. Sri Aurobindo's life through his poems. And we have covered the period till 1926, which we know marked three significant things, or rather four. One, as we know, was the descent of Sri Krishna in Sri Aurobindo's physical, which was the fusing of Sri Krishna's earthly divine personality with Sri Aurobindo. And what it meant is that now the baton of the Yuga, the Yug Dharma, is passed on to Sri Aurobindo. Its significance for us is that now the age that is going to dawn, was handed over to Sri Aurobindo. You see, it's very interesting. In the First World War, Sri Aurobindo did not directly intervene. That age was still hanging in the balance. Mother intervened in her own way, but not directly. She intervened. She was in the front, nursing the sick and those caring for them. But she was also speaking of the coming of Superman, the role of women. Sri Aurobindo also through the Aryas was speaking about the future. But the moment you see the age was passed on to Sri Aurobindo, Second World War, very actively he intervenes, both of them. So that was literally what Sri Aurobindo called as the mother's war. So we see that first significance of this was that the avataric role for which, avatar is not a role but he comes, but the work and the mission for which Sri Krishna, who was the avatar of the previous age and conducting the age right up to almost till Sri Aurobindo's birth, with the last fires of Rani Lakshmi Bai, nearly 4,500 or 5,000 years, now was passing on the baton to Sri Aurobindo, and that we see from the period from 1908 or little before that, when he appears before him in the Alipur jail, and then this continues series of experiences till 1926 when we see the grand culmination. This is what it meant. Second was, importance of this event was that the age of gods was over. Because the mother had created an overmind creation with the help of the gods. All the meditations that we hear that she used to meditate and all the gods would come. And then Sri Aurobindo said, no, this is not what we want, and she dissolved it. So, though we read all this, she dissolved it. But what it meant was that the age of gods is over. Now man has to make a direct contact with the Supreme. So, of course, people can continue to worship, nothing wrong. Mother was asked, she said, those who want to worship the gods may continue to do so. But they must know that it has nothing to do with the supramental yoga, very clearly. So with regard to those who are on the path, there has to be a luminous and benevolent indifference. It's not like people were iconoclast who would destroy the gods for the one reality. She was not saying that. She said they have a place in the creation, they have governed it till now. They still will have a role for many who are still hanging out on the ledges of humanity. But for those who are ready for the new creation, they have to take a leap. This meant, the second thing it meant was this. Third was that the mother was now in the forefront. So Sri Aurobindo had, at some point, as Nalini says, we don't know when, someone asked Sri Aurobindo, did you recognize the mother on 24th November 1926? He said, no, much before that. So Nalini recount that often when at night during the seances they would sit together, and Sri Aurobindo, when he would come to saying Mira Devi was what he used to call her, and even written, and in some of his writings it is Mira, Mira Devi. So he would halt at Mamma as if he's prolonging something. And then Nalini says, one day he suddenly said Mother. And though that date is unrecorded, some of the best events of history have gone unrecorded in terms of the exact date. But he says that was the day when the mother was fixed in the outer consciousness of man. So we see this third thing happening with 1926. Mother taking charge of what? Of the creation that was going to be. And the fourth thing that happened along with that, of course, it changed the whole dynamics of yoga, whole process of yoga. I mean, not whole process, but it changed the approach to yoga. Like if you read before that, so If you read through synthesis and all that, it appears, oh my God, this is so wonderful but so difficult. Though Sri Aurobindo himself said it is easiest, but the goal is very difficult. But after that, 1927, the first book that comes out is The Mother. And there is a very interesting note that Sri Aurobindo writes. There are two notes which he writes. One is because now children will come, mother has to manage. So he identifies with the god of wealth. And he says, I am Kuber, the god of wealth. He writes like that. And another one where he says, I am the Shakti of Sri Aurobindo alone. He writes on behalf of mother. It's not written by mother, by Sri Aurobindo. And the book The Mother was placed in the hands of humanity. That now this is the Bij Mantra, you have to just take it and move forward. And along with that, the fifth thing that happened, before that, people came, you will see evening talks, people sat, and they had the wonderful opportunity. In the Gita, we see one dialogue between Shri Krishna and Arjuna. And humanity must be lamenting, I wish we had Shri Krishna with us lazily. So he fulfilled that aspiration and people could come and join. So they could come sit around Sri Aurobindo, just imagine, raise questions, share a laughter or two. And the questions could include anything, all kinds of contemporary events, past, different things. If you take a flavor of that, for instance, one place, somebody asked him that Gandhi's son had come to meet you. He said, yes. So what transpired? He said, all that I remember is that I asked him a question. That if Hitler comes, tell me how are you going to stop him with your charkha and non-violence? So he says he didn't reply anything. This was what he remembered. He didn't reply anything. And there are many, even all these things. Now we are, seeing about his ISIS caliphate. All that Khilafat movement had started during that time with Kamal Ataturk. If you read that portion of history, it's amazing. At one place he says, yes, you can pactize with the religion which is willing to compromise, but how do you make compromise with a religion which believes in exclusivity, which will not accept you as your own? This was again with regard to, Hindu-Muslim unity. Very clear, and every subject which included range even about some cartoon characters they have read. Even about that people could ask Sri Aurobindo. They could ask about current world events, the future, and he would reply. But they were not really known as Sri Aurobindo's disciples. Recently you must have seen one of the letters of Sri Aurobindo saying he hardly accepts anybody. So it's all during that period. When people would come to meet him, try to climb up the walls to have a darshan. And Sri Aurobindo would write that, I don't accept like that. There was no formal initiation. But after 1926, we see that slowly an ashram begins to form. But very clearly, both have made, they didn't form an ashram. There is a difference. It grew out of the pressure of the chit tapas, the consciousness force. That's how the world has emerged. So as the pressure came upon earth of their presence, mighty presence, so people started getting drawn, and then they wanted to live near Mother and Sri Aurobindo and do the tapasya. So slowly the houses came, people started. It was not like, okay, you are accepted in terms of a formal initiation. There was never anything like a formal initiation. All that Sri Aurobindo would say, whoever the mother has accepted is doing the yoga. Mother would say, whoever recognizes me is initiated into the yoga. Or whomever I have given work. So it was never like, okay, because they didn't need all these formal methods. That I have to give a mantra diksha and from today you start. They are very human methods. But divine doesn't use these methods. He just looks and you are done. And you feel the call. So that's how the whole process started. And what was this project? We see in 1920, Barinda asking Sri Aurobindo, sir, everybody is collecting their bundles. And they ask, what is Sri Aurobindo doing? Is he engaged in man-making? Sri Aurobindo says, I have done enough of man-making. Now I am engaged in divine man-making. So it was a completely new project. Human beings can live in a sattvic state. Human beings can enter into nirvana. They can experience higher consciousness. They can receive the psychic touch. All this was done. But now it was a completely a new divine humanity in a human body, which will be transmuted in eventually even that into a divine body. The possibility of embodying the divine consciousness, that was never envisaged. So it was a perfection of life upon earth through human beings. Who were these human beings? We often look, oh my God, these people were so wonderful. Yes, they were so wonderful, but they were representatives. Each brought with him a possibility and each brought with him a difficulty. Mother used the word difficulty later, and an impossibility initially. Something that will just refuse to change. So the humanity that came carried within itself a strange paradox. A great divine possibility and an equally earthly impossibility. So it didn't matter the number. Supposing there were 100, 100 came much later. Supposing there were 30. So 30 multiplied by all the types, each one was representing millions of human beings of that type. So he was bearing not only his own burden, but the burden of that type of humanity. That's how in this yoga one helps humanity, not by distributing kambals and food. But this way, that the moment one becomes a disciple of Sri Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo says that it's very difficult. Then you automatically bear the burden of that type which you represent. And each one represents something or the other. So we'll read some of these poems on man, how that time he saw man and the way out of man. So it is the early days when ashram is being formed, humanity came from different quarters. And some of the names are now legion. And yet, when you read their life, the difficulties, the challenges, because basic human nature is the same. And they would write to Sri Aurobindo. Sometime they would say, that is also there in evening talks. But later ones, 38. Sir, today C and N met with each other and they had a fight. So Sri Aurobindo said laughingly, yes, when fire meets fire and it's midsummer now. So, there were people who would start crying, I'm going away. I can't stay anymore. And Sri Aurobindo says, neither, and on what pretext? They would say, Mother does not want me to be here. And then Sri Aurobindo has to explain that Mother loves you. Neither me nor Mother would ever want you to go away from here. Dilip Kumar Roy, for instance, he would write like that. And Sri Aurobindo would say, how much we cherish you as a son and a friend. If you go away, he says, if I go away, because he was so much, he had big challenges in his nature. If you read about him, it's very interesting. On one side, now this is documented part of history. And he is a great person. So on one side, Sri Aurobindo says, someone whom I have cherished as a son and a friend. On the other side, when he is asked, why does he often get this going away streak? He said, there is a vital which is L and L. So he said, that's why these impulses come. And then he would try to take to sannyas. He says, yes, because of this, he goes into these moods when he wants to take sannyas and then swings back to the opposite, because sannyas is like that. It's a reaction of your being to a tendency which you have very strong in nature, something very crude. So you want to get rid of it. So he is told Sri Aurobindo once that, I think if I go away, the devil will go away from the ashram. He said, no. On the contrary, he'll be very happy that he had a victory. So you must stay here. The devil is not here because of you. It is because of the way he is there in earth. And there were waves when people will get this urge. I want to go away. I want to leave the yoga, unfitness. And they would write, and Sri Aurobindo would say, these are the same people, same force which occupies like waves the minds of people and urges them to leave the path. So all these challenges he was facing. And so he describes humanity in ways which makes us understand truly ourselves better. Have we not faced within us contradictions? If we have not faced, then we are grossly insincere, to say the least. It means that we have a very good image of ourselves. And all others are, problem is in others. But here Sri Aurobindo writes, there is a poem, Man, the depot of contraries. In Savitri also there are some magical lines to that effect, where he says, a strange antinomy governs his rules. So he says, a cross between the demigod and the beast. He describes man. There is in us a beastly part. Give it a moment and see, it will emerge. Everything is very beautiful when there is satsang. Even inside the samadhi it can emerge. When you are sitting near the samadhi and somebody comes and chedos you a little, see how the animal comes out. How dare you? So that's how, because it's there in human beings. So man, the depot of contraries, I am greater than the greatness of the seas. A swift tornado of God energy. This about I is about man. This is the possibility in man. See, he can ride the seas, he can bind the skies. I am greater than the greatness of the seas. A swift tornado of God energy. Now it doesn't write but you can add but. A helpless flower that quivers in the breeze. I am weaker than the reed one breaks with ease. You'll see this in man, this contrary. On one side, so strong that they can bear the frontal strokes of the world and not break down. In the same human being, the opposite tendency. And this Sri Aurobindo and the mother have emphasized in this yoga, one needs to know it. And there are exchanges between mother and Sri Aurobindo even during 1917-1918, where Sri Aurobindo speaks of the shadow which chases human beings. And he says that this is the evil persona with everybody, especially those who are born for a great possibility. You will see that there is a shadow which chases them. And that actually is their shortcut to the yoga. It's a grace, because instead of giving all sorts of problems, there is one problem marked out for you, written in your list. So when you are coming down, we pick up possibility. Then he says, wait, hold on. This possibility you have to realize, yes sir, so take this along. So in hurry we take this along. That is the difficulty. The difficulty is the path to the possibility. The world is arranged in such an occult way. So he says, both things are there in man. I harbour all the wisdom of the wise in my nature of stupendous ignorance. On a flame of righteousness I fix my eyes. While I wallow in sweet sin and join hell's dance. This is man. And especially those who are very righteous, extremely moralist, you can take it for granted that they are wallowing in hell at some point. No, one should be like this, like that, right and wrong. They deny in public what they enjoy in private. And there are religions like that. They will stone, chop the hands. But in their private life, it is so horrifying. You read the tales and you'll know. And you know which world I am speaking about. They will, like, the woman should be covered in this way and that way, but their private life is so horrifying. So that's what man is. He puts a cover over all his sins and looks at the world with, I am a righteous man. And how are you? But in his private life, it's a very different thing. So he reminds us, on a flame of righteousness I fix my eyes, while I wallow in sweet sin and join hell's dance. So all these poems remind us that he knows all of us very well. So to say the least. My mind is brilliant like a full-orbed moon. Its darkness is the caverned troglodytes. So when moon is shining, there are caves where moonlight doesn't reach. And what is the troglodyte? Troglodyte is those dinosaurs age creatures, the primitive. So, but within me, on one side, I speak about spiritual things, high things and all that. I have read the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Veda, the Quran, and I can give talks on that. But there is a troglodyte, a primitive man hiding in the cave. So he reminds us, that was the challenge of yoga. It was not as easy as, okay, I'll bring the supermind and give to all of you and tomorrow you'll become supramental beings. And supramental transformation is to tackle with all these things. I gather long time's wealth and squander soon. I am an epitome of opposites. I, with repeated life, death's sleep surprise. Death, he's dead. Repeated life. Come back. I am a transience of the eternities. At one place, Mother says, man has come from a very high plane. His true domicile is the overmind. And she says he's meant to be the limbs of the quaternary, where on one side is the higher hemisphere, on one side is the lower. So, Mother says he's a god who has fallen. So she was asked, why was he made to fall? He says, so that he develops humility, because without humility you can't go further. You see the gods? They're very nice when you worship them. One day, you don't do that, then they may break that nariyal on your head, Your head will be the nariyal. The people, that's why, there is a relation, not the good gods. But there are some with whom there is care. Like there was that Shani Devta, everybody was putting that, diya, that tel ka diya, sometime this was in fashion. So once I asked my mom, why are you doing all these things? You are praying to Lord Rama. What do you need all this? No, now if I don't do, then there is a problem. I said, leave all this. I literally forced it upon her. What kind of a faith you have in Lord Rama? And she had a tremendous faith. She said, okay, you are saying it, I'll leave it. But there is always that kind of relationship with the beings of these worlds. So he had to fall to discover humility. And till he discovers humility, Mother has one place said humility, sincerity also she has said the same thing. Humility is the safeguard. Against whom? Against the hostile forces. Because if you don't have humility, they'll come and whisper in the ear, you are the next Mahant of Sri Aurobindo Center. So you start, thinking, I'm sorry, but I'm saying, it all can come. No, I am the next person. Everybody, I am the one who conducts. They'll come like this. The next will be some experiences will come. See, you had such a high experience. You are a great yogi. Now, nobody will say this to outside because people know you will be marked as stupid because there are sensible people enough to understand it. Then after some time, inside it will come, you are the supreme. You don't need Mother and Sri Aurobindo. People have been there. There are people when during the partition they went to Pakistan. After being here for so many years, now I have done all this, now I have to go further. So further was 5 times namaz. Completely under the grip. So this is the way these forces act. They will take you, see, I am such a great yogi, I am this, that. That's why Sri Aurobindo says the aim of this yoga is not to become a yogi, a superman or any such thing. So what is the aim, sir? We thought we'll become yogi. No. Aim is to become a child of the Divine Mother. To live in the Divine Consciousness. To live by the Divine Consciousness. So there is no epithet to it. If you are living in the Divine Consciousness, you don't say, I am from today, Prabhu, Swami, so and so. You don't need. Divine never declares. Did Sri Krishna say, I am so and so? The Gita writes, Yogi Yogeshwara. Did Sri Aurobindo say, I am so and so? But we know that it is divine. Did Lord Rama say, Ravana, you don't know? I am avatar of Vishnu. Nothing. He says, come, let's fight. The divine never needs to declare himself. But those who are not sure of their divinity need to declare themselves. So what is this about? Here he writes the greater plan. He saw that all that was done in the past traditional yoga is not enough. If he had to repeat that story, he could have just opened another ashram for all kinds of people. But he said, I have to give it the name ashram because for want of a better name. He had to explain that what is ashram, he said, comes from the root shram. It is a labor, but of another kind. So there was this famous British poet, mathematician, Chadwick, and his name was given Arjav by Sri Aurobindo. So he used to write lovely poetry. He died relatively young. So once somebody asked him, came from UK, what are you doing here? He says, why? What do you mean? No, what work are you doing here? What are you doing for humanity? He said, you won't understand. We are fighting a battle. What battle? He said, will you understand if I tell you that, we are fighting with our egos day and night? I don't understand this. So there is a greater plan. Now, Sri Aurobindo, the new project, Sri Krishna had led humanity to the doors of the supermind. When he says, Sarv Dharman Parityaja, even there are 3-4 hints in the Bhagavad Gita. One place he says, the greatest of yogin is he who conquers, who strives to conquer. Jara, Maran, Dukha, Rog. He is the greatest of yogin. Another place he says, Vyaktoham, Avyaktoham. I am both. And then he shows the vision in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And finally, when he says, initially he speaks of Swadharma, all this. But at the end he says, there is something still greater, which is yet to come. Sarv Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Abandon yourself completely to me. So he takes to the door of the supermind but doesn't open it, doesn't reveal it. Man is still, yes, long journey. And he knows I'll come back. As Sri Aurobindo. And now the time has come. So what is that greater plan? I am held no more by life's alluring cry, her joy and grief, her charm, her laughter's lute. This is the pre-requirement. And somebody asked Mother, there's so much talk about Vairagya in other yogas. You don't talk about Vairagya. He says, frankly, if you have to still renounce something, you're not ready for this yoga. What? He says, you should be so much caught by this flame that this is something so new. Whether you leave something outwardly or not is irrelevant. So he says, we don't talk about renunciation because renunciation means, I have something, now I'm going to renounce. But basically, one doesn't need to be a yogi or read scriptures. A child of 16, if he knows, has reason and common sense, can understand that nothing really belongs to you. One doesn't need to read a big scripture. Because renunciation means like forgiveness. People say, no, forgiveness is a great quality. That means you have first condemned the person. Forgiveness means you have judged the person, condemned him, and now say, anyways, I forgive you. But greater than forgiveness is compassion. Compassion understands. That's it. You don't have to forgive because who is there to forgive? Sri Aurobindo writes in one of his aphorisms. Who is there to forgive? Does God forgive himself? It is that consciousness. Hushed are the magic moments of the flute and form and color and brief ecstasy. Now that phase is gone. Wonderful. I would hear in my spirit's wideness, solitary, the voice that speaks when mortal lips are mute. This is a line worth, You can't put a price tag. It's priceless. The voice that speaks when mortal lips are mute. I seek the wonder of things absolute, born from the silence of eternity. That is the greater plan, which man will embody. So somebody would ask, sir, you are seeking, what about man? So he says, there is a need within the soul of man, the splendors of the surface never sate. For life and mind and their glory and debate are the slow prelude of a vaster theme. A preface to the epic supreme. So we are like that, the master musician is still setting the chords. He has not started playing music. Setting the note, dun, then another place, dun. So he is setting it, these are all chaotic. The heart is doing dun, mind is doing dun, dun. Life is all tuck, tuck, tuck. So still the alap is going on. You ever see musicians before they do it? They have a alap. Long time they have an alap. There are people who get so bored, like we all become escapist. What is this humanity? So I'm just doing alap. No, actual experience I am saying. The first time I gate crashed, no money, so went to watch, but wanted to watch Ravi Shankar, Allah Rakha. So some 4-5 of us, we just gate crashed. Managed to get inside. So, it was alap going on. So 2 hours alap is going on. So I said, ye, 2 hota rahega. When will the real thing start? So I thought initially this is the ultimate. But we waited. But after some time, then you don't want to go from there. I still remember 10 to 12 was the alap. And then till 4:30 we didn't know what's happening. Morning class, forget everything. There was wonder of wonders. So what is going on right now is alap. Just the strings are being tuned. Then there is, what is our role? What is the job we are here to do? Job description from the divine, not job description from earthly people. So our job description is man of the mediator. Actually, in the old edition, it's man the mediator, whatever it is. A dumb, inconscient drew life's tumbling maze, a night of all things, packed and infinite. It made our consciousness a torch that plays between the abyss and a supernal light. Our mind was framed a lens of segment sight, piercing out inch by inch the world's huge mass. So you see what happens with the mind? The inconscient can begin to become aware of itself. Inconscient can read itself through the mind of man. So how does it read itself? Oh, life is this horror. This is inconscient speaking. What is it? Actually, inconscient is saying, I am horror. When person says, oh, I need this, I want this, I desire this, I desperately long for this, inconscient is saying, I long for the divine love. But this same human mind can become an instrument of the divine design and can say, here I come into the abyss to fill it with God love. Same, because human mind has become a mediator. And reason is small, hard theodolite, measuring unreally the measureless ways. You know, imagine infinite space, but torchlight, you are measuring this much. But it is vast, boundless. Yet is the dark, inconscient whence came all, the self-same power that shines on high unwon. What is inconscient? It's a shadow of the same supreme infinite. Our night shall be a sky purpureal, a torch transmute to a vast Godhead's sun. Torchlight is reason. The same reason can take us a step further and say, okay, now further, step further, till it gets transmuted into a sun. Rooted, now see these last two punchlines. Rooted in mire, heavenward man's nature grows. So you can look at the mire, mud. See, mud is a common, that's why mathematics we learnt Lcm and Hcf. It's a true spiritual philosophy. Lcm is the least common multiple. Everybody will have it. Mire. Hcf is the highest common factor. You see, it will become less and less. So, highest common factor is what? Rooted in mire, heavenward, man's nature grows. Lcm. But what is the Hcf? His soul, the dim bud of God's flaming rose. So, on one side, there is the mire which is common. It's the bed. Inconscient bed. But if you see the possibility, then he can become God's flaming rose. And something very similar is written on evolution. There are several essays, of course, where the primary thought is that evolution happens because there is involution. Seed automatically does not go into a tree. The tree has become a seed and buried itself. So that's how involution can be understood very simply. The tree of the divine, cosmic tree that has made droplings and seeds and buried into earth nature. So all the possibilities are already there inside the seed. And now it will struggle upward through challenges of life. Why? Because that one tree will become many, many. All is not finished in the unseen decree. This is new thing about Sri Aurobindo. Often people, I don't know why they start comparing this Vedanta, that Vedanta. What Sri Aurobindo has brought is completely new. Of course, that is a basis. Nobody denies there is a one reality and all that is child stuff. But the real thing that Sri Aurobindo is bringing out is that man can take a leap. He is a transitional being. And his purpose, raison d'etre of existence is to become superhumanity or the divine superhumanity so that we don't get aggravated. We are going to become supermen. Divine superhumanity of the future. This no one spoke about. Man is a transitional being. And his greatness is not in what he is, but in what he can become. That's what we had read, I think, yesterday. Man is a transitional being. His greatness is not what he is. You can have any number of degrees on your card. At the pearly gates, Chitragupta will not ask for your card. He will say, give me the chip inside your soul. Sir, there was a chip. Yeah, everything is documented here. Sir, why are you seeing all this? Give me that chip. There you will see what you became, not what you were born with. People often lament, "Arey, what to do? I was born like this." That's irrelevant. What is important is what you became. That is the journey of man. So, all is not finished in the unseen decree. A mind beyond a mind demands our ken. A life of unimagined harmony awaits, concealed, the grasp of unborn men. So, he was preparing the new age when souls that were waiting for centuries, they would come down. Unborn men, men of the future, who are waiting for this period. That when Mother will come, when Sri Aurobindo will start a new age. Now, there must be yogis who went beyond man and didn't need to come back to earth. But somewhere they didn't want to merge into nirvana. And they had that intuitive sense that maybe someday there will be a new age. And they are waiting and they would come down. The crude beginnings of the lifeless earth, the mindless stirrings of the plant and tree prepared a thought for a godlike birth. So these things prepared a thought. Now thought is a preparation for a godlike birth, broadens the mold of our mortality. A might no human will nor force can gain, a knowledge seated in eternity. A bliss beyond our struggle and our pain are the high pinnacles of our destiny. So what is man's destiny? We don't need to go to a tota or an astrologer, because we share a common destiny. Just as we share a common problem of the race, no? So we have a common destiny, but provided we activate it. So what is that destiny? A might no human will nor force can gain. A knowledge seated in eternity. A bliss beyond our struggle and our pain are the high pinnacles of our destiny. O thou who climbest to mine from the dull stone, face now the miracle summit still unwon. So Sri Aurobindo knew very well that it's not an easy task. So that time few people gathered, right up to almost 1950, there were just about 250 persons. So, and people would ask about numbers. He said nothing depends on numbers. It is not a yoga meant for gathering. It's not like a movement where everybody starts a morning Sankirtan and says, Jai Ho, Baba Ji ki Jai Ho. It's not that. It's a serious work. At one place he says that I do not believe in propaganda except for politics and patent medicine. Mark the humor. He's not saying that, you should do propaganda there. He's simply saying they are based on propaganda. Sri Aurobindo's humor is very subtle. Huh? Don't take it that, okay, he sanctioned propaganda for politics and patent medicine. But if you mark the words, he says, I don't believe in propaganda. But that's where they do it. If you are in that world, except for politics and patent medicine, because the next sentence qualifies it. In a serious work like mine, that is a... in a serious work like mine, it is like a poison. It means that tens of thousands of useless people join and spoil the movement and reduce it to a farce. It doesn't stop there. Huh? Very strong worded this. Pranab Dai used to keep this by his side. The moment you talk about, he'll hand over to you one. So it means reduce it to a farce. This is what has happened to the religions, from which truth has receded into the secrecy of its silence. What is left is a shell. He says, I do not want to repeat the old fiasco of the old wine in new bottle. Package, no? You see a lot of this thing. Now, pranayam is as old as the hills. You'll see a new package of pranayam. Under some kriya, some name. And $5,000. Even people go to absurd things, hot yoga. I have talked about it. Hot yoga. Not hot yoga. Hot yoga. Huh? That man finally got arrested. So America, place everything sells. So what was the yoga? Extreme hot temperature. Steaming hot. In that you have to do the same practices. Little bit variation here and there introduced to make it appear your own. So, you'll sweat a lot and people think they have worked out. So, it's a combination of asana and workout. See how you can sell. Branded. Even Sri Aurobindo's yoga, you'll be surprised. Once I had been to Cape Town. So, a group called me for a talk. Nice people. So, the ambassador there told me that, they are interested. Would you like to go? I said, yeah, if they want to hear about Sri Aurobindo and the mother, I'll go. Why not? So, ambassador was a devotee. So, I said, what is that group? He said, they are a group who's named as Divine Life Group. I said, what is this Divine Life Group? There is another Divine Life Group. And what is the path of yoga? Integral yoga. I said, this is too much. Nice people. It's not their fault. It's somebody who has, patented. The bird integral yoga was being patented. So when you go there, I didn't know this is all traditional. Baith ki they sang couple of bhajans, all in traditional attire, some mantras, and then they asked me to speak. So I said, okay, let us catch on that note where they have no clue. So I started with mother. So I knew that this. So the idea is if your consciousness becomes a little better and you feel good, you have divine life. This is how it was understood. Integral yoga means a little bit of hatha yoga, bit of pranayam. Even I have heard in Sri Aurobindo's circles, people speak like this who have been for decades associated. Sri Aurobindo's yoga is integral yoga in the sense body, life, mind, heart, everything must be included. So you do hatha yoga, pranayam, you do meditation and bhakti and like the yoga of the Gita, that is integral yoga. But the craziest definition was by Swamiji in, because of these people, the word Swami has, lost its reputation. So, the talk was on all life is yoga or something. So, luckily, that person had to speak first and he was very well dressed. The moment you wear geruva, people will go all this. If you're in your regular half pant knicker, so they think he's a schoolboy. So, this man spoke and he said, somebody asked him, Sri Aurobindo speaks about all life is yoga, so what does it mean? So he said something in Tamil. So I asked, what is he saying? Now this is not done. He said, nothing, eating, sleeping, everything is yoga only. Everything is, nothing else. He just said, everything is yoga. Do whatever you feel. It is yoga only. That was the end of the all life is yoga. I said, good, now, now I have a chance. So I took off from there. So this is how it is. So, but what Sri Aurobindo is envisioned is so much more ahead and so much more difficult. And that's why there is a poem which he has called the call of the impossible. It is not as simple as that I'll do everything and all life is yoga. Why? Because I am doing everything. It is, Sri Aurobindo said all life is yoga. So I will do everything. Doing everything everybody is doing. What is yoga about it? It's the same thing like when people say I am doing karma yoga, meaning I am doing my duties. Doing duties is nothing to do with yoga. Leave aside karma yoga. Every sattvic person does his duties. And even somebody who is not sattvic is compelled to do the duties. That's how society is organized. Doing duties has nothing, zero to do with karma yoga. Sri Aurobindo clarifies it in Essays on the Gita. This is a European conception that if you do your duties. So often people tell you that I am doing all my duties. Towards whom? So next question is I ask towards whom? Towards my husband, my parent, this, that. So but karma yoga is doing toward the divine. Where is the divine? So now comes the problem. Because yoga by its very nature means effort directed toward the divine. Without directing it toward the divine, there is no yoga. So karma yoga is when karma is directed toward the divine. So simple as that. That's difficult. So here it's call of the impossible. Something much greater than that. A Godhead moves us to unrealized things. What are the things which are unrealized? In the Life Divine second paragraph we'll see that. What we have achieved so far and what we have to achieve. A simple thing like harmony between two people we have not achieved. Unmixed bliss, state of constant joy we have not achieved. We have snatches of peace for which we have to shut our doors and go somewhere. But peace in the battlefield, we have not achieved. We have not achieved in this anxiety, stress-laden life a drop of true love in a world of hate. We have not achieved any of these things. To achieve them, self-existence, peace and bliss and knowledge which comes straight from the source, none of this we have. That is the impossible thing which man is supposed to have. A Godhead moves us to unrealized things, asleep in the wide folds of destiny. He is waiting. Look at the expression. Wide folds of destiny is waiting for his hour. Unrealized things. A world guarded by silence, rustling wings, shelters their fine impossibility. Why? Because it is unmanifest. So people say silence, and they have arrived at silence, but there is something awaiting beyond it, hidden in the hush. So, and look at this line, shelters their fine impossibility, because as of now, man is not ready to embody it. But parting quiver the cerulean gates. Slowly the gates are opening. Strange splendors look into our dreaming eyes. We bear proud deities and magnificent fates, faces and hands that come near from paradise. What shines above waits darkling here in us. So what waits darkling here in us? Ideal love and flawless happiness. But what we manage is a darkling. What we call ideal love is just, and they lived happily hereafter. What is flawless happiness? Good holiday package, nice things going on. Darkling. But this darkling is, its source is somewhere else. All that we aspire for here is granted elsewhere, and that we have to activate. So what shines above waits darkling here in us. Now what is that? He says something very beautiful. Bliss unattained, our future's birthright is. Beauty of our dim souls grows amorous. We are the heights of infinite widenesses. And now these two wonderful lines, because people would say, sir, what is your yoga? We don't even understand. Forget about doing it. We feel it is impossible. So what would be Sri Aurobindo's answer to all this humanity? The impossible is our mask of things to be. Mortal, the door to immortality. That's how he puts in Savitri. Earth's winged chimeras are truths steed in heaven. The impossible, God's sign of things to be. That's exactly what he says. The high gods pick and choose today's impossibles for future's base. All effort at self-mastery for realizing an ideal state are never lost. Everything else may be lost. Is lost, much of it. But all effort, one may not succeed in this life. Doesn't matter. That's why he says there are many approximations that justify the success. Many approximations and failures that justify the eventual success. So we should keep striving. And then finally, I won't read Man the Thinking Animal, but Man the Enigma. He was revealing all this through a number of letters to everyone. So we will understand when we read all this that what happens here. People often ask what happens to people here. Why their smile is lost. Sometimes it happens because the made up smile is lost. It's no more that smile. Good morning, how are you? So nice to see you. Andar mein, why this fellow has come? Where will he go? But he snatches away the false smile and gives us the authentic one. So there is a passage, when the smile is lost, but the real smile is yet to come. Man, the enigma. So people often say, oh, Sri Aurobindo was lost in the Empyrean. I have never known, having read everything, a person who is more lover of humanity than Sri Aurobindo. And often people ask, I said, why won't I ever feel gratitude for Mother and Sri Aurobindo who thought about us, understood us, our problem, more than anyone else. Everybody will say, oh, this is Maya. Or they will say, you are a sinner, condemned. So you are hanging between Maya sounds good, no sin, no virtue. No, Maya is comfortable. Illusion. So ना मारता हूँ ना मरता हूँ, so मैं जो करता हूँ impunity से करता हूँ. वो तो एक attitude है ना, I do whatever I wish to do because there is no sin. This is a dangerous offshoot of this. It's all a Maya. I had a friend who would say, all is a Maya. So I said, very good. One day you will understand it was all a Leela. Hidden behind it there was something else. But Maya. Or you sinner, you virtuous man, you get into this line, you get into other line. This is the other. So what is the option? Now here is Sri Aurobindo who understands us. He does not condemn us. Because the sinner and the saint strive within a single breast. And neither is man's destiny. He has to go beyond both. Man, the enigma, a deep enigma is the soul of man. His conscious life obeys the inconscient's rule. We are conscious, supposed to be conscious. But we are pushed by the inconscient forces. Suddenly we'll speak something, do something which we are not supposed to do, in the sense that it will create disorder and disharmony. And yet, this happens. His need of joy is learned in sorrow's school. Sorrows come to teach us that, look here, man, you think your life is happy? No, it's very limited. Seek something greater. His heart is a chaos and an empyrean. Both things together. If somebody were to see in, not the physical heart, but the physical heart is also very strange. The way blood is coming, going, mixing, matching. Impure on one side, symbol, na? And the pure blood on another. It's, if you look at it, and then dub, lub, all. And then life goes like that. That's how it sounds. We are taught that, when you put the stethoscope, you'll hear lub, dub. So that lub was nice. But he said, what is this dub? So you hear on the stethoscope. That is how one learns that, his heart is a chaos and an empyrean. His subtle ignorance borrows wisdom's plan. His mind is the infinite's sharp and narrow tool. Through that, the infinite is carving a way. He wades through mud to reach the wonderful. Like those people, who used to do that dandavat, what is that called? Parikrama. Pada parikrama. There was one saint matlab like that, a yogi who would do regular parikrama like that, matlab on the floor. Circumambulation is the word in English. So he would go like this, then get up, then again like this. He would do from Sri Aurobindo's that guest house to Ramana Ashram, then again come back. So he was the one who one day suddenly got up and ran up to Sri Aurobindo when Sri Aurobindo was having a cup of tea in front. Picked up the cup and put it like this, and before anybody could realize, and ran away. Sri Aurobindo just smiled. And then he said, he gave me the hint. The divine gave the hint through him. He just put the cup like that. He was a kind of yogi, but doing this. So through mud, weights, and in our real life also, psychological mud. पाँव धसा हुआ है यहाँ तक, नहीं मुंडी तक, पर मुख से तो भगवान का नाम है. So he wades through mud to reach the wonderful, and does what matter must or spirit can. All powers in his living's soil take root and claim from him their place and struggling right. By the very fact we have a body, all the forces of the universe, hell, heaven, and all that else in between, take roots. Not only they come and enter. Ghar mein aake, they come and they come as guests. After some time, they eat nice, we give them halwa puri, they stay. Then another guest comes, they also halwa puri. Now they are not, they fight with each other, but now both claim right. This is our house. So this is what happens to man. His ignorant creature mind crawling towards light. Look at the sense of humor. His ignorant creature mind, man's ignorant creature mind, crawling towards light, is nature's fool, not tool, is nature's fool and Godhead's candidate. Nature makes a fool of us and we think, oh wow, so wonderful. I thought people think they are doing, achieved success, not realizing you've been fooled by nature. You forgot the real goal. Nature's fool. So she perpetuates. Oh, I have such lovely children. Gone. Instead of new creation, it is changed into procreation. That's the end of the story. Or others who don't have procreation, they have recreation. They are very happy. Life is very happy. Nature's fool. And yet, within the same human being, Godhead's candidate. A demigod and a demon and a brute. Sir, don't say all these things to us. But this is a fact. Demigod. That we like to hear. Demigod is when human beings can become one with a god. One of the greater powers. A demigod. And a demon. He is also sitting out there. Demon. So when there are nice people around and you have to give a nice this thing, so demigod is active. But when somebody hurls and abuse or something, demon says, okay, देखेंगे. मुझे रोका था ना आश्रम गेट पर. The demon comes out. उतना ही काफी नहीं है. Demon is still okay. Brute. Completely primitive man. You'll be surprised. Strong, abusiveness, anger, same. I'll narrate one experience. I've narrated this. When I came beginning May, so I saw a man drunk absolutely. And actually, he had come to say some nice things about me, whatever he may have heard. But before he could say, there was a different story altogether. Because he came and he was sitting outside the now dispensary is changed. And I was seeing a patient and I heard him abuse somebody else. I came out and said, get out. Naya Air Force ka robe. Get out. Why? I said, you can't be abusing it. Is it your place? No, this philosophical mind, it's not my place. I said, it's mother's place. So, yes, but I am also mother's child. I said, this is a strange journey. How do I solve this riddle? I said, okay, we'll talk about it later on. Come. So I just started dragging him outside and he started resisting. Tall man, hatta katta. He threatened me. He said, you don't know, I can take a dagger and punch into your heart. I said, you don't know, I am a military man. If you try all this, so I am going to react. So all this carried on. For months, he took an enmity. So much so that wherever you will see me, he's a drunk fellow. He'll suddenly come, stop me on the cycle, start, threatening. And I would also, it was such a nuisance. One day he even walked into the class when Hall of Harmony classes came and started peeping. I said, now either he will have it or some. But one day, how my heart changed, I saw sitting in the Samadhi, this man was going and bowing at the Samadhi. And I felt something very nice about him. So next day, time to time, he would come and say, I am not forgotten. I'll see you. This is your ilaka. So I went to that extent. I said, where is your ilaka? You tell me, I'll come. So he said, come to that cafe. All this went on. So I said, okay, I'll come to this cafe. So all this was going on. Suddenly he was sitting in front and I told him, it was all ego, play of ego, no? So which blinds you, you can't see. So that day I told him, look, I don't want to further have any fights with you because something I have discovered and that has changed me completely. He said, what have you discovered? I said that you love the mother. What was his response? Who else is there to love? After that I said, what a fool I was. Who else is there to love? We became friends. One little moment, we became friends. After that, he would meet, sir, doctor, like that. His drunk state. And I would say, hi, how are you? Of course, from a distance, you don't know drunkard, how he'll react. But I realized that in everybody, even in the brute, he literally threatened me with life. And yet, there is in him a corner where we are one as mother's children. That's the end of the story. So a demigod When the man goes, he will leave all this behind. This body, death-ridden, disease-ridden body, but his soul will shine and go upward. Why? Because mother's love. And strangely, when he had a fall, he came to me for treatment. His wife thought, because they had heard everything, that, will you see him? I said, why not? He said, no, I know about all the stories he has been doing to you. I said, don't worry about it. We are friends now. So, anyways, I'll see as a doctor. So, there is in each one of us a demigod and a demon and a brute. Depends upon what we really develop and how with this is Devasur Sangram within. Everybody in this yoga experiences it. So if you take the side of the demon and the brute, then he will grow. Ultimately, he can't stand before the divine grace. And they come with Asuri Maya. You see, it won't take the form of demon, will not take the form of that demon, that lal aankh and two sings, animal. You know how the demon comes? Slyly, he will come as depression. Just tell you are a useless creature, You're no good, unfit for this yoga. He'll come like that. Depression, despair. When you have detected his red eyes and all that angry look, this anger, then he will take the form of depression. So this is how the demon and the brute act. The slave and the creator of his fate. Both are there in us. We are the slave and the creator of our fate. All this we are. And this enigma, Sri Aurobindo and the mother have taken to solve for us. And they've given us a solution to this riddle. Last 3 lines from Savitri, with which we'll stop. His nature, divine nature, we must put on as he put ours. Sri Aurobindo and the mother came as human beings, look like human beings. His nature, we must put on as he put ours. In fact, before that, a mutual debt binds earth to the supreme, man to the supreme. His nature we must put on as he put ours. His human portion we must grow divine. He is reminding us, his human portions we must grow divine. We are sons of God and must be even as he. His human portion we must grow divine. Our life is a paradox. This is the paradox. Our life is a paradox with God for key. Turn all things Godward. That is the only way given to us. Even the most brute elements, turn them Godward, offer them to the light. So that they will be slowly refined, purified, and turn into divinity. But there are things to be rejected that he has said. But when mother was asked what should we reject, he said, rejection is difficult, offer them to the light. That does not mean you indulge in them, but when you observe these demon and the brute, offer it to the light, and even the demigod, so that he too can become an instrument. So this is the riddle which they started solving 1926 onwards, very consciously, with that nucleus of humanity around them, which today of course we know as the devotees and disciples of Sri Aurobindo world over. Ashram was the seed plot, and I am glad that we shared all this today, because with the opening of the Samadhi, it was as if worldwide there is a wide opening. Thank you.